It's a pleasure to be here for the second year, and it's really a pleasure anytime to get to talk about the kicking game. And I've got the towel here because I did just come off the practice field, and it's a lot more pleasant in here, and hopefully where you're watching this, than it was out there on the field a little while ago. The chance to talk about the kicking game is very important to me because it's been a major factor, not the only factor, but a major contributing factor to why the Dallas Cowboys have been world champions the last 2 years. A lot of people give lip service to the kicking game. And I've been around coaching all my life, all my adult life, and the kicking game is not emphasized enough by most people. Those that emphasize it will reap the rewards. So I think organizationally we have to start with the very top. You head coaches out there, you're the ones that have to deem it important to the rest of your people, to your assistant coaches and to your players. And how do you do that? First of all, you've got to have practice time. You've got to have meeting time. Now, I know they restrict you in some ways in college nowadays with the amount of time, but just because they restrict you is no excuses for not meeting on an extremely important part of the game. If you're going to meet on offense and if you're going to meet on defense, why wouldn't you meet on the kicking game? It's just as important, because if you lose a game because you screwed up in the kicking game, or you got beat deep on a pass, or you fumbled on offense, it's all the same. There's no difference. You lost the game. So how about let's make it into a positive, and let's make it part of why we're winning. Now, if you put the meeting time on it, you put the practice time on it, assign your coaches to do the duties so the players see the coaches out there working on the kicking game, they'll understand the importance. Coaches go into the meetings when the kicking meetings are taking place. Players notice coaches in the meetings. It must be important if other coaches come in. On the field time. Then, what about the people on the kicking game? Don't just put backup players in the kicking game. If you want good players playing offense, good players playing defense, why wouldn't you want good players using good players on the kicking game? Now, you've got to gauge that. Some of your starters, when we gauge who we're going to use on the kicking game, if a guy is a starter for us on offense, then I'm going to use him, and he's a good kicking game player. I'm going to use him on at least 2 of our 4 major kicking game parts, which is kickoff, kickoff return, punt, punt return. If a guy is a quality backup for you, he has to be a quality kicking game guy, or he's not worth being a backup. And the reason is that the kicking guys, the guys on the field for the kicking game, get more playing time than your backup players. Their backup players don't get as much time on the field as your starting offense or defensive people. They'll get more snaps with the kicking game. They must be that. Use your best players on the kicking game, whoever that might be, and you'll find that the results improve and give you an edge on the other team. And this is what you sell your team on, that it's an edge, that we're going to win games because of the kicking game. Now, today, we're not going to talk about schemes, whether you block man protection or zone protection or what this scheme on kickoff return. We're going to talk about the technical aspects, how we teach, because whether it's high school, college, or pro, there's coaching involved, there's teaching involved, and it's all the same. The game of football is the same. So let's get to it. The punting game, let's take that first. The punting game involves your protection and your coverage, the 2 aspects that we'll touch on today, and that's the main 2 aspects. All right, first of all, there is one aspect about the kicking game, punting game, that is different. The pro football and high school, college, the only difference in the kicking game is that on the punting game, we in the professional league cannot cover until the ball is kicked. Otherwise, everything is the same. So let's talk about this. We've got some fine young men here that are going to help us demonstrate. First of all, let's talk about protection. Just give me 2 guys right here. 2 guys, doesn't matter which 2. All right? Now, let's say these guys are on the punt team. Now, how we like to do it is hands on knees with a staggered stance. Just go ahead and mimic what you see here. You look a lot better doing it, obviously. And that will be one side of the line. All right? Now, come on over and get in front of them. This is the punt protection team. I don't care if you're blocking man or zone. But what we're going to do right now is we're just going to come right into them. And here's what we're going to do. I'll show you what we're going to do. Protection-wise, we're going to go back a little bit, and then we're going to jam them. We're going to have our knees bent. We're going to have our hands inside so we can jam them and then release. All right? Let's just do that and release to the right. Come straight into them. Stagger your stance. Stagger your stance some. All right? When they come in, just give them a shot right in the chest with your hands in, elbows in, boom, and then just release a few yards to the right. All right, ready? Go. There you go, and release to the right. There you go. Exactly right. All right, now come on back, do it again. Now, and this has to be, obviously we got a full speed rush going on. This has to be a real shot. And what you do is here is you get a feel for how long it takes for the snap and the kick to get off and so forth. You know and you learn just how long you have to give them a shot and move. Let's do it one more time. Okay, ready? Go. There you go, and get gone. All right. Now, how do you work on that? All right, and I'm gonna show you some things, and then I'm gonna show you some tape that shows exactly what I'm talking about with our players, as well as here with these young men. All right, take it and do a half line drill. I'm the center. All right, you have half the punt team up there. Why do you take the half line? You do half line drills on offense. Use it in the kicking game. Do whatever you want on defense. Utilize it half line. Coach it up. Go to the other side. All right, let's go left this time. So now you got the left side of the line going. All right, that's it. Exactly. Good job there. All right, ready? Go. Very good. Very good. That's all we're talking about. And you'll see it on tape there. Protection. All right, now, again, man zone, I don't care about all that. You still have to get back, and you've got to jam people and spread out and cover the field. Now, when we talk about coverage, we're talking about leverage. We want to keep, all right, now you guys come over here and face the same way they are. All right, we want to keep leverage on people. Everything you hear about, it's just like coaching defense, it's leverage. The kicking game is no different than any other aspect of the game. There's leverage involved, there's angles, there's knowledge, etc. All right, when we're working on protection, all we do is, I always say, I use this, we'll cover 10. We protect, we spread out, and we cover 8, 9, 10 yards so we can come back and emphasize the protection. Now when we want to work coverage, all right, now we'll take them and we'll come down the field and come on, then walk down to me and say I'm the ball. And okay, we'll say here's the center. I try to emphasize that we're going to stay 5 yards apart with the center on the ball. All right, now, one way that you can do this to emphasize to your team, to give them an idea, is to turn them around. All right, go ahead over here now. Face me over here. Go ahead. Is now come off the sideline. Take your team, put them on the sideline. Take your center, take your group, just like you would over here, snap the ball, kick it across the field, and now cover right to here. Here's the center on me. Now, you guys are 5 yards apart. Go ahead and get 5 yards apart. Now, how do you know what 5 yards is? Well, because there's stripes, right? And that's exactly why we do that, for exactly that reason. Because now you get a feel for what 5 yards feels like, because it's laid out for you this way. And now you do that a few times. It gives you a feel for what kind of distance I have between my buddy, and it just helps your team get the feel of how you have to cover the field. All right, you do that a few times. Now you take it around and come back again. Now, you're working on coverage. You're working down the field. Work with a ball carrier down here, but don't work with the punter. When you do this, let the punter punt the ball and then cover. But don't have the punt returner go catch the football. Because when you do this drill, the punter will kick them everywhere in the lot, and it'll make everybody unhappy because it'll screw up the drill. So don't let the punter screw up your drill here. Let them kick the ball for the timing. But then just have a guy down here holding a ball. Cover 5 yards from me and 5 yards apart. Just simulate that right there. 5 yards from me. Here, that way. 5 yards from me and 5 yards from each other. So there, that's right. Okay, now, and you have the guys stop. All right, and they're in a football position. All right, and then now, move the ball carrier, and now they got to move with them. They want to try to keep their shoulders square as much as possible. They'll be running. They'll be going like this. That's it. That's it. You want to just keep this distance. As long as the ball carrier's going sideways, you keep this going. When he comes here, you converge on him, just like you do when the punt returner takes it up the field. All right? So you take your whole team and you do that, your punt team. Another way to work on your coverage, and this is something I've found to be very effective on any level I've ever done it. Just with no defense, just take your punt coverage team. Just come in here like you guys were in there. All right, and as a coach, get down the field, 40 yards. Take a stopwatch. Tell these guys, all right, we're going to snap the ball, and you guys are just going to run past me, 40 yards down the field. And I'm going to time you, and I'm going to time the slowest guy, and you've got to get down the field 40 yards in 6 seconds. Because we want the ball snapped and kicked in 2 seconds. We'd like to get the ball hung up there around 4 seconds, and we'd like to be able to move the ball down the field 40 yards. Now, these guys, when they hear 40 yards in 6 seconds, they'll think that's really not very fast. And it's not if you're timing them. But you'll find that when you do this the first time, and all you want them to do is run by you. So all we're doing is running a sprint on the snap of the football. That times will be around 7.2, somewhere in that area. Don't time if you got a center that's slow or something, don't penalize the guy. You'll find, and they'll be surprised when they hear how slow the time is. And that is an emphasis on what kind of effort it takes to cover punts. Now, once they start competing, you'll see them start picking the time up. And you'll see them start giving the better effort. That's a great way to do that. All right, let's look at tape number 1 real quick on the monitor here and on your screen. All right, just run that thing. Yeah, go ahead in regular speed. Now, what you can see right here is half line. All right? Half line. And just, as you can see, we're just working on anything we want to work on. We've got some twists there. We can do anything we want. And you can see and emphasize the half line. That's it. You can coach them up. You can pinpoint what you want to do. All right, fast forward that. All right, that's half line. All right, now we're just shuffling here. We just got the offensive team, the punt team. All we're doing is shuffling, widening, and going, getting into our route. All right, now we can take a middle drill. You do a middle drill on offense. Why not do a middle drill on the punting game? We've got the guards and the center and the personal protector. And we're giving them the different pictures that they can see. All right? Then we progress to the entire team, the entire group right there. And you work on whatever you need to work on according to your opponent. Now, what we're seeing here is a progression of teaching. You're taking a half line, you're taking a middle drill, you're breaking it down just like you do an individual period for offense and defense, and you're now putting it together in group work. And you can see you've got coaches responsible for the defense, and you've got coaches responsible for the rest of the offense, the punting team. Another aspect, one other aspect. Fast forward that, see here, something should be coming up here I want to just emphasize for a second. Can we fast forward that? There we go, yeah. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. All this is group work. Right there. All right, all right. I'm in the booth. Good alertness in the booth. All right, now, wideouts. Professional, a lot of college, and now more in the high school, there's wideouts involved in the punting game. All right, so give me one guy covering that way and one guy on defense. Come on, come on. Okay, good. All right, the ball's in here. The ball's in here, and he's a wideout. I think it's a great formation. I think you can find some people out here on the wideouts that can be specialists, that can really get this done and cover that punt. Now, when they work on this, we always teach that we want to release outside as much as possible and just run and take off and run and make that play. It's awful tough for one person to hold you up out here. Occasionally, we'll come here and come inside, but when you come inside towards the ball, you run into a lot of traffic. Number one is a problem. Number two is you could get caught in the middle of the field and lose leverage and the punt returner get around you. So we'll work on this just like a receiver works on getting off. All right, you just try to hold him up, and it's just going to be for a couple yards. All right, ready? Go. All right, good. Now, one thing we teach is exactly what the young man did right there. We'll come off the ball and we'll try to swim, or we may try to get something, and we may try to rip our way through there. Both techniques are good. Sometimes our people out here will be here and they'll try a little juke step and then get gone. Just go ahead and try to release it. You try to hold them up. All right, go. All right, now, one thing that you see there is the shoulders were so square in here, it didn't reduce the target. So he was able to get his hands on you just because your shoulders were square, and he can hold you up better. If you got less of a target, he may get his hands on you, but he can't stop you as good. He's going to have less of a target, and the leverage actually will push you on out. Those things right there, I think, are important for the outside people. And you drill that. While you're working on protection in there, you have another coach come in here and you work on out here, and you work on the wideouts releasing. How about the kickoff return? Kickoff return, I think there's a couple things to analyze about it. First of all, the athletes that are needed. Kickoff return, you need the type of athlete that can maneuver in the open space, because you're going to do a lot of running backwards, a lot of turning, a lot of setting up, a lot of shuffling. And so you've got to use your linebackers, defensive backs that have good size, tight ends, fullbacks, type of guys in this part of the game. Don't use offensive linemen, defensive linemen guys. Very few of them can do what you need to do on this. So first of all, personnel. Put your athletic people out there that can maneuver in the open field. Secondly, the most important aspect of the kickoff return to me is the timing of it. For the returner to be at the spot where the blocks are made at that point so that we can hit that thing, north and south. Because we're not going to be blocking people to the ground. We're not going to be out muscling people. They've got good people too. So you've got to hit this thing to get set up so you can hit it and time it. All right, how do we do that? All right, first of all, front line. All right, let's say, guys, let's say set up right out there on the 30 as if you were, they were kicking to us this way. They're kicking to us this way. You're on the front line. That's it. There you go. Now, all right, first we'll just break it down. Here we are breaking this thing down again. We'll take the front line and we'll say, all right, we're going to work on a right return. Whatever that means to you, it's immaterial. What is important is that most kicks we're going to work on as if the kick's going to go to the goal line. All right, so we take we take this front line and I'll get back and I'll put cones out, or I'll just stand here on the 25-yard line. Say I'm on the 25 right now. They're on whatever restraining line they are on. I say whatever because they just moved our kickoff back to the 30, whatever. It's 10 yards away from where the ball is teed up. All right, we're going back to the 25. All right, so now my guys will be set up there. They'll be in a football position, turned. There you go. That's good. All right, now on the kick of the ball, they'll come running back to me. Go ahead and go. Coming back to me, we'll be on the right side. They'll come and they'll get turned and they'll set up exactly, just like that. All right, now let's go back and do that. Show them what that looks like with a little jog to it. All right? Now, and this is a full bore thing. Now, we're not doing it full bore here. We're really running because you got guys blazing down the field. So you've got to run. You've got to really run to get back here. Again, just a nice pace back here. Ready? Go. All right, they're going to get back here. They're going to maneuver their body, and exactly. All right? We'll take that. All right? Then we'll take another group will be working. All right, you guys are the wedge now. Give me one guy on this 40, one guy on that 40, and you two back here with me. Right there. All right? We'll line up on the 25-yard line with these guys. We'll line up on the 20 with these guys. All right? Now, what do? We kick the ball off. We make sure, again, we anticipate the ball coming to the goal line. If it doesn't, if you're facing a kicker that doesn't kick it that far, obviously you adjust these depths. All right? We want that wedge. We want this wedge to form. All right, I've got the ball. You guys come over here and form about 10 yards away from me. This isn't quite, there we go. This is how it should end up. They should come to the ball, end up, and we have a wedge captain. We want to be about 10 yards from the ball. If we 10 to 12 yards from the ball, if the kick returner is there, the wedge is 10 or 12 yards, that'll place the front line about another 10 yards in front of them, 10 to 12 yards in front of them. Then when the wedge captain hollers go, then we take off. Go ahead and just as if you're going straight ahead. Now, all right, there'll be blocks made there. All right, hold it right there. There'll be blocks made by the front line to where this guy can hit this thing as the blocks are made. The timing of the play. It doesn't do any good for the guy to throw the block too quick because the guy can get up or run around you and go make the play on the returner. It doesn't do any good for the guy to make the block late because then you get in here and I'm too close to the wedge and I can't break this thing. So the timing is so important. The second aspect to it that we emphasize, all right, come on back here. All right, give me two guys facing that way right here. All right, and two guys right in front of them. Now, what we work on all the time is leverage. Leverage. If that ball is going to be returned there, you guys are on offense, you guys are covering kicks. If that ball is going to be returned over there, I'm covering the kickoff, I'm trying to get to the ball. All right, so this man wants to be in a football position, blocking me so that his butt is to the ball. A little more. There you go. And we want to have his hat and the leverage part between me and the ball carrier. So that if I'm covering, I either have to run around the block, which now, if we're timed right, he just pushes me out of the way, and I've created quite a hole there. Or if I see this and I want to play across his face. Now he's got leverage and he keeps working me. He keeps working the leverage, and now I have to run a bubble, and we're going to gain another 5 or 6 yards. So how do we work on that? All right? We don't have them run all the way down the field. We just come at this. We lock up right here. All right? It's a right return. So now I place this guy at this position. Same thing there. All right? Now I come over here. I lock up with him. I already lock up. Another aspect. All right, spread out just a hair. Another aspect. Penalties. Just because the ball is kicked, there doesn't have to be penalties. You hear that on TV, and that's a bunch of garbage. The reason that penalties happen in the kicking game is that somebody wasn't busting their butt to get where they're supposed to be, and so trying to make up for it, they'll grab somebody or push somebody where they're not supposed to, or put their hands where they're not supposed to. All right? We talk about putting our hands inside. We never want to get our hands outside, just like teaching offense and blocking, because what happens? He may not be holding them, but if his hands are outside, I'm an official and I don't know any better anyway, so I just try to throw the flag because I see a hand. All right? But if my hands are inside, hell, I could be grabbing them and getting more damn jersey than I ever got. But that never happens in any kind of ball game I'm involved in. So we're in there, and now by doing that, now when he works, we want to work this leverage, okay, right like that. Good. Now here's what happens. All right, we're down in here. We come to the collision point. All right, the man starts to work. I want to work this thing up the field, and you're going to put the pressure on me trying to go that way. All right? So I'm right into here. All right? Now, and I'm working up the field, trying to keep that leverage. All right? Let's do a couple of those. Okay, go ahead and lock in. Lock in. It's all locked in. All right, ready? Go. You keep your hats on there. Okay, hold it. Okay, good. Come on back. All right? Now, if you don't keep the leverage, here's what happens. Say you're coming here and I'm covering, and say this man is on this side of me. Well, hell, now it's easier for me to slide off him and make the play. I don't have to run a bubble. All right, let's do it again. Lock in. Lock in now. Really work them now. Go. That's it. That's it. Okay, good. Very nice. Very nice. Those are the things we work on. Let's look at that on tape. We got kickoff return here, and we'll see exactly what we're talking about with our players. All right, run that tape. Yeah, here you see a drill we do. We get set up, and we're working on leverage. See, the hat was on the wrong side there. All right, we come back. Hat, there you go, and we work it upfield. All right, you can see, now, that was a rookie last year, and he didn't have a clue of what was going on. Ended up being good later in the year. Here's Bill Bates, 12-year veteran. Now, lost some leverage, but you can see why he's still here after 12 years, the effort level. There, now we got a right return, and we're trying to keep the leverage. We'll also work on a double-team drill. We just showed that. Now, here's the leverage part again. The ball's coming up here. There, see that? See that? It's exactly what we were doing. We'll get set up. Now, why don't I have people run down the field? Because it takes too much time, and I'm not looking for that. Now, here we'll lock up. We lock up, and the ball's being run over here, and, being run this way, and we're trying to work as this defensive man tries to redirect. You see how we'll kick the ball off here and how we'll form the wedge. Don't worry about those guys covering it, whatever scheme you want to use. You can see now we kick the ball off. There's the wedge. We want them 10 to 12 yards away and going. All right, go ahead. That's it. We break down. Here's another picture of it. Ball's being kicked. We want to get back. Very nice, about 10, 12 yards. Take off so we can hit it, and the ball carrier can hit it at the proper timing. Now, you can see the front line. All right, we kick off. Go ahead. And you can see how they've got to get back to the 25-yard line and work leverage. All right, the emphasis point there is to get yourself back, get yourself squared away, work in the open field, make the adjustments. Now, you don't ever work this drill full speed, but you have to get a certain tempo. This, for the return team, for the timing. You can't have timing if you don't work, all right, if you don't work the full speed aspect. All right. Let's look at now, let's reverse it. Let's look at kickoff coverage. Kickoff coverage is a couple different things involved. First of all, you've got to run. You got to have people that can run pretty darn good or that want to run. It doesn't have to be sometimes guys that run real fast don't want to go down there and do all these things that you do when the collisions start happening. So you got to find You got to find the guy that can run and that wants to get down there and make plays. All right, number one thing we emphasize when the ball's kicked, all right, now you guys are now on that line coming this way. You guys are a kickoff team. First thing we emphasize is to take the line. What I mean by that is that when that ball is kicked, I'm the kicker, that ball is kicked, I want these guys right on that line. I don't want them back here 2 yards. I want them right on the line. Now, how do you do that? It's very simple. You just time it out at practice. Your kicker takes his normal that he's going to use in the game approach, and you time it out so that you know when you need to be hitting that line full speed. Take the line. Officials do not like to call offsides on the kickoff. They'd rather not call that. You've got to really be exaggerated for them to call that. I've been proven time and time again. Take the line, first thing. Second thing, run. All right, now we got to run. Now we've got about a 30-yard area right there where we run. And as we're running as hard as we can, we're analyzing what's happening in front of us. Who is going to set up and who is going to try to block us. So that is important. But then we come to an area of about, after you run about 25, 30 yards, there's an avoidance area where you can now avoid somebody that's trying to block you and still get back in your lane, because when this ball carrier is returning that kickoff, there's no difference in the coverage than there is in playing defense in terms of responsibilities. So if I'm returning this kickoff, these guys have an area to be in. When that ball gets here, they have a responsibility, a lane responsibility. And they've got to get there at this collision point. But before we get to the collision point, there's about a 50-yard period where you run and you avoid. All right, one drill we do, 2 guys right out here facing me. Facing that way, right there. All right, now you guys are covering the kick. In that avoidance area, after we've sprinted and we've analyzed, and now we got some people trying to block us where we can avoid, we just talk about that we can rip to avoid somebody, give them a fake, a head fake, and a rip, all the while trying to break down their blocking angle. Or we can come down here and try to swim. Most of our guys like a rip technique better, because if you swim, you expose your area right here, and you could get knocked off a lot easier. Or if you're out in the middle of the field and the ball's way down there, you just run around somebody. Just run around somebody and then get back in your lane. You know where you're supposed to go. All right, let's try swimming that way. So you guys are going to swim now. You guys just set up like you're going to block them and don't make a great effort. Go ahead back about 5 yards. All right? Right to there. All right, you guys are going to approach them, give a little move, and then swim that way. All right, go. All right, good. All right, come on back. Let's just turn it around right there. Come back this way. All right, now, start back here. All right, now, we're doing the same thing. They're covering now. Now, this time, give me a rip this way. So you're dipping that right arm. You ready? Go. Act like you're going to block them. All right. And it may look very basic, very simple, but while you can't just say go out and play the game, there's teaching involved. And guys have to get used to doing certain things and know why they're doing them and why they're able to do them. All right, so you can swim them, you can rip them, you can run around them. But then always it gets down to the point, okay, go ahead and turn around. It gets down to the point where now the collision starts. All right, if you now you've run like heck, you've avoided people, you've gotten back in your lane, but now that ball carrier is approaching you, and you cannot now, when that ball carrier is 10, 12 yards from you, you cannot run around. You cannot avoid. And I say cannot because most of the problems on kickoff coverage happen when somebody is out of their lane, when someone is not taking care of their responsibilities. So if you've gotten to that point where that ball is coming your way and you are now in that collision area, we talk about and we teach a butt and press. A butt and press technique where we come and we collision them. And now we're not running into them, butting them with the top of our heads or anything. It's kind of a triangle to where we're here, and we try to butt them and now react to the ball, just like you would playing defense. Now, this guy's got talent too, so if I butt him and he butting me back and we're stalemated in here, that's fine. Because now I'm in my lane, I've got my responsibility, and now somebody else is going to squeeze and make the play. Because if he doesn't take me out of my lane, then they're not going to have any place to run. So let's look at that right here now as we teach this. Run that tape on our kickoff coverage, which is just the, yeah. See what we do right here. Go ahead. We've just got a couple guys out there, just like I just showed, and we just run, and we just make a move. That was a sloppy move over there. He's no longer with us. And we work on it. You can see we're coaching this thing up. You've got coaches around. You've got more people helping. That's all we're doing. All right? We're just introducing the guys that you've sprinted down the field. Someone is going to set up on you, and you can avoid. You can see the guys using the swim. All right, go ahead and fast forward that thing. And while they get to fast forward, you can see, there you go. There you go, keep it going. All this is avoidance. All this is ripping, swim, okay, right there. Okay, now we set up the drill where now there's no place to run now. Now the blocker is right there. You've got to come, you've got to butt him up and try to get off of him to the ball. And we don't make this a blood and guts 30, 40-yard run type thing. We make it so that it's functional for what we want. We've already run, we've already avoided, and now we can't do anything but butt them, control them, and go make a play. That's all we're talking about. But you got to work on this right there. Now, he took a side. The man covering took a side, and now he messed himself up. He got out of the lane. At this point, you cannot create a lane. Now, butt them, and that happens sometimes. That wasn't all that bad. You got to get your head up. You got to butt them, press them with your arms, and release on them. Let's look at this. All right, nice butt. The guy ran outside the cone. Those things happen. You just got to coach it up how you want it. That's good. Now get off. That's very nice. That's very nice. That's good. That's a great example right there. All right, that's good on that tape. All right, how much time do we have? We got 2 minutes in the total. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. These head coaches, they squeeze you for time. See, I'm telling them, where's Major Litton? I want to talk to Major. What I do want to do is thank everybody for wherever you are. This is a great clinic idea. It's fabulous. And I hope that there's a lot of people in a lot of different areas taking advantage of seeing kicking game, offense, defense, Greg Landry, people like that that'll be coming in here, the coaches that are here. It's never a secret to me why people win. I see Fisher DeBerry over there from Air Force Academy, longtime successful head coach. There's a lot of guys in town now that are out there playing golf. Fisher's here listening to a kicking game lecture. But he may have only got one thing from it, hopefully one thing. If you got one thing from it, you can go back and improve that aspect of your game and or your knowledge of the game. Because I was an offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, head football coach at major colleges and all that, and there's nothing that I've ever done that has been more pleasurable and more fun than being a special teams coach in the NFL. The excitement, the dramatic plays that happen, the collisions, the turnovers, the field position. There's nothing more important that happens during the game than the kicking game because it controls your field position. Put good personnel out there, work on the technical aspects. If you have any questions, drop me a line at the Cowboy office and I'll try to answer them for you. Thanks for being anywhere that you are trying to learn more football. And thanks for these young men from North Texas, which is a wonderful institution up here in Denton, Texas. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for having me here. Thank you very much. We'll see you.
Craig Way along with Joe, and let's go right to the phones. And our first caller comes to us from Missouri Western in St. Joseph, Missouri. Coach Partridge, you're on with Coach Avezzano.
Yeah, Coach, I know you were planning on going over it, but one of the questions I had was your coaching techniques and your pointers on blocking field goals off the corner, off the wingman, off the edge.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily an easy task. We've had very little success on that. A couple reasons. I think there's a great knack to that. I think some guys have a great knack. I think also that the offense has to basically mess up for us to have a chance to block a field goal or an extra point. What we teach a staggered stance with the inside foot back, so that on the fourth step, we're on the outside foot and we can now bend that thing, peel that thing back towards the point, towards the block point, which is where the ball is. Now, we work on that. We have not had a lot of success on that. We're teaching it, but for some reason, we haven't had a lot of people mess up field goals or extra points against us, and we haven't had just a guy that somehow just has that knack or the quickness to get off the ball. But that's how we teach it.
Next up, we'll go to Ken Olson, who joins us from Mesa Junior College in Phoenix, Arizona. It's still morning out there. It's afternoon here. Hello, Coach. You're on with Coach Avezzano.
Coach Avezzano.
Yes.
How you doing? I enjoyed your segment on the punt protection. I definitely can share in your excitement with the punt team, being that's where I am, a full-time special teams coach. But with the protection on the punt, you were talking about the stance being staggered. At our school in Mesa, we have our inside step back to get depth. I know the philosophy is that you want to bend but not break on the punt protection. Do you have some certain steps in order to get depth, to get back, to get your protection as far as a cup protection?
Very definitely. What we're always saying is that, okay, the ball is snapped, and we're always saying, shuffle, shuffle, widen, go. Now, shuffle, shuffle means back, back, widen, go. Now, for us, that takes about the time, not about, that takes the proper time for us to snap and to kick, and for our guys now to be running, to get a head start and be at the point of, be at the line of scrimmage when the ball is kicked, so we get some momentum going. So that is what through practice and through coming up with things, it's been shuffle, shuffle, widen, go. And that is something we work on an awful lot.
It's been easy to tell the school that's been most active so far. That's Gibbs High School in St. Petersburg, Florida. We'll go back down there now to the Tampa Bay greater area, and we'll go to Coach Johnny Edwards. Johnny, you're on with Coach Joe Avezzano.
How you doing, Coach?
Fine, thank you.
Coach, I was glad to hear you mention our head coaches squeezing that time from the special team coaches. But I'd just like to know, generally, how much time do you dedicate to each phase of the kicking game? And how much time would you recommend that our high school and maybe colleges spend on their special team?
Good question.
That's a very good question. Our situation is a little different from a couple standpoints. First of all, we spend all day working on football. We don't have to go to class. We don't have to do all those other things. So I get 45 minutes a day meeting time. I get a half-hour walk-through period where I walk and talk. Then when we go on the field, because now this is the other difference, we only have about 50 guys on the field. So we can't practice as long as we'd like to because the season is so long and we have such few guys. So actually on the field, we have about 15 minutes. What I think for high school and college is I really believe that you've got to be able to have a 20-minute period in there, where 15 to 20-minute period where you can meet each day before practice on the kicking game of that particular day. I've got to believe now on the field that you've got to have 20, 25 minutes during that 2.5 hour period that you're on the field that you would put towards the kicking game. Now, if you're properly prepared and you're organized and the staff is into it, the emphasis is on it, I think that will be plenty, and I think that'll help you be successful.
Thanks for the call. We'll go from then from Arizona or from St. Petersburg, Florida, up to Richmond, Virginia. Greg Whistler from Benedictine High School in Richmond. Greg, good afternoon. You're on with Coach Avezzano.
Yeah, Coach. Coach Partridge earlier had asked about blocking field goals. What do you teach the line as far as protecting on a field goal?
Protecting on the field goal, we've had a couple in college. For the many years I was in college coaching, we always had our hands on our knees, and we stepped inside, kept our outside foot solid, and kind of just created a chain link right there with our up back protecting inside out. In the professional ranks, what we've done is we've got our stance. We're in a three-point stance. Now we just get square and we just kind of spread out. Now you gotta understand, in our league, when you see an extra point, usually there's 7 guys up there that you might average around 300 pounds. So when you say spread out, and you spread out 7 300-pounders, you've covered some area. And we have a little advantage in that regard, in that we've got such huge people. We can just get squared away and cover both gaps. And because we're so strong, we take care of that. I just think that I still believe in covering the inside gap and keeping your outside hip solid and so forth. We do it because we can do it that way. And I'm not sure what your situation is in terms of size of people. A couple different ways to do it.
Okay, we have time for one more call. Dale Sprague from Blackburn College in Carbondale, Illinois. Coach, you're on with Coach Avezzano.
Coach Avezzano, thank you. An excellent presentation. One question I had was concerning the split you use with your interior linemen and your wing backs and your punt protection. What kind of splits do you take, and do you narrow them? Do you widen them against particular types of fronts that you see when people are coming after your punter?
We'll take a 6-inch split between the center and the guard. We'll try to take a 2-foot split between the guard, tackle, wing back. Now, that's what we try to start out with. Now, I don't have to say a whole lot of these guys. When they feel threatened, you better believe they're going to cut their split some. Now, I can say I'd like you to stay here and stay there, but they're the ones on the field, and they know what they have to get done. We try to stay with those splits because we don't want to get too tight and give them a corner, but usually we're going to stay with that split. They'll adjust if they feel threatened, and the only time we'll actually say to cut our split is if we're punting from backed up, where we have a tight punt formation. Then we'll cut the split a lot, because the only important thing there is to get the ball off. Usually the last part of the game, last play of the game, that type of thing, preserve the win. And so that's how we discuss it. That's how we adjust to it.
I got to ask you one quick thing here now. With the salary cap coming into the National Football League, special teams across the NFL are feeling the crunch. How's your team going to look coming out of this, your guys, your special unit?
Well, we're feeling the same thing, and it's going to be interesting to see, because the cap is the cap. That's just it. It doesn't matter if we like it, not like it. It's just the way it is. And the teams that deal with it better than others will be more successful. Those that complain a lot about it will fall by the wayside. We've been outstanding in the kicking game because we've had very good people. The organization's been committed to that. Somehow we'll end up with a good kicking game again, because that's the way we want to do things.
You wouldn't want to sing for us, would you?
Not at the moment, but you can buy my tape for $10.95, which is available here at the Coaching Connection, in case you get tired of football stuff.
See, and we'll give you details on that. Thanks, Joe.
Details much later.
Joe Avezzano, the special teams coach of the Dallas Cowboys.